Once upon a time in the Valley of Elah, two armies stood locked in a deadly standoff, Israel and the Philistines. Each day from the enemy's side emerged a giant unlike any other. His name was Goliath. Towering over 9 feet tall, wrapped in bronze armor, and carrying a spear like a tree trunk, he struck fear into every heart. For 40 days he mocked the armies of the living God, demanding a challenger. But none in Israel had the courage. The soldiers trembled. The king remained silent. Every sunrise brought humiliation. Every sunset deepened Israel's shame. Goliath wasn't just a warrior. He was a walking insult. And then from the hills of Bethlehem came a shepherd boy. No armor, no sword, just faith, and a sling in his hand. David wasn't a soldier. He had no military training. He had never stepped into battle. He came only to bring food to his brothers. But when he heard Goliath's words, something inside him burned. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine who dares to defy the armies of the living God? He asked. The others laughed at him. You're just a boy, they said. His brothers were embarrassed. The soldiers scoffed. But David didn't care. He remembered the lion he had killed, the bear he had struck down. God delivered me then, he declared, and he will deliver me now. It wasn't confidence in himself. It was confidence in his God, a shepherd's heart, a warrior's spirit, a servant's faith. King Saul looked at David and doubted. You're only a youth, he said, and he's been a warrior since his youth. But David spoke with conviction. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. Saul, out of options and out of hope, agreed. He offered his armor, but it was too heavy. David removed it. He chose instead 5 smooth stones from a brook. No sword, no shield, just a sling, just trust. The army watched in silence. The boy stepped into the valley, alone. No one believed he could win, no one except him and the God who walked with him. Goliath laughed when he saw David approach. Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks? He thundered. His armor glinted in the sun. His shadow swallowed the earth. Come here and I will feed your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. But David stood firm. You come against me with sword and spear, he declared, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. His voice echoed through the valley. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands. It was not arrogance. It was prophecy, a declaration of divine justice, and all of heaven listened. Then it happened. Goliath charged forward, his footsteps like thunder. David ran toward him, not away. With calm precision, he reached into his pouch, pulled out a single stone, and placed it in his sling. The air grew still. The armies held their breath. And then, release. The stone flew with divine speed, cutting through wind and doubt. It struck Goliath in the forehead. The giant stumbled. The mighty fell. The ground shook as Goliath collapsed face first into the dust. Silence, then shouts, then thunderous cries. David had done the impossible. The boy had slain the beast. The shepherd had conquered the warrior. God had won. David didn't stop there. He ran to Goliath, drew the giant's own sword, and cut off his head. The Philistines panicked. Their confidence shattered. They fled the battlefield in terror. Israel, once paralyzed by fear, now surged with courage. They chased their enemies, reclaiming victory and honor. What swords could not do, faith had accomplished. What years of war failed to settle, one moment of courage did. David became a hero, a legend. But he never took the glory. He knew the battle belonged to the Lord. His victory was a testimony, not of his strength, but of God's power to use the unlikely. This story is more than history. It's a blueprint for every battle we face. Goliath represents fear, doubt, addiction, failure, any giant that dares to challenge our faith. And David, he's every believer who chooses faith over fear, who stands in valleys with nothing but trust, who speaks when others tremble, who acts when others hesitate. Giants still fall, not by might, but by belief, not by strength, but by surrender. The world honors power, but God honors faith. And when faith enters the battlefield, the impossible becomes possible. That's the legacy David left behind. That's the hope we carry today. So the next time you face your own Goliath, remember this moment. Remember that the living God fights for those who trust him. You don't need armor. You don't need titles. All you need is belief. One stone of faith can bring down any fortress of fear. One step of courage can silence a mountain of doubt. Like David, run toward the challenge. Declare God's truth, release the stone, and watch what happens when heaven backs your swing. Because your story, yes, yours, is being written with the same ink of faith. And in that story, the giants don't win. God does. After the victory, David returned not as a shepherd, but as a warrior favored by God. The people sang his name in the streets. Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. But David didn't seek fame. His heart remained humble, his eyes still on the Lord. Even with glory, he knew where his strength came from. He was anointed for more than battle. He was chosen for destiny. This one moment changed the course of Israel's history. It revealed that leadership doesn't begin with position, but with obedience. God didn't choose David because of his stature, but because of his heart. Faith made him king long before the crown touched his head. Goliath's fall was just the beginning. The real battle was yet to come. But David had proven one eternal truth. God uses the unlikely to do the unimaginable. And so the story of David and Goliath echoes through time, still speaking to hearts today. It's not just about giants, it's about faith that moves mountains, about the power of a single voice standing for truth when others stay silent, about choosing courage when fear seems easier. God is still calling Davids in every generation, people who dare to believe when the odds are impossible, who carry stones of prayer, courage, and conviction, who run into battle with nothing but trust in the living God. Your Goliath may look different, but the God who delivers hasn't changed. So when the valley seems dark and the giant stands tall, remember this story. One act of faith can shake kingdoms, one believer can shift history, and one stone in the hand of the faithful can still bring giants to the ground. In the end, the story of David and Goliath is more than just a tale of ancient warfare. It's a timeless reminder that no obstacle is too big when God is on your side. It teaches us that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the presence of faith, that even the smallest among us can do mighty things when their heart beats with heavenly purpose. David's victory wasn't in the stone, it was in the trust behind it. Goliath's defeat wasn't about size, it was about pride falling before truth. When the world sees a boy, God sees a king. When others run from the fight, faith runs toward it. The battle is never really ours. It belongs to the Lord. So whatever giant you face today, don't be afraid. Step forward, speak boldly, and sling your stone, because with God, victory is already written.